Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. For today, we're going over NFL Week 4. Just going to continue our momentum. We crushed it in NFL Week 3. We crushed it in UFC last week, and we're looking to just continue the trend, baby. Again, you can check all the official picks over on Twitter, over on Instagram at Stats and Stacks Podcast. Even dabbling a little bit when it comes to the TikTok action. Hey, we're doing what we got to do. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into this week and try to get a little more money along the way. So again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with, again, with ESPN, it's always going to show you your favorite team's game first. And I mean, what better team than there is to talk about the Buffalo Bills, babe? We have the Buffalo Bills going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Not the biggest fan of that. The over-under set at 56.5. Oof, that's high. The Kansas City Chiefs being the favorites by less than a field goal, -2.5. So damn near a pick 'em here. Yes, I'm very, very biased when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. I kind of usually don't bet the Buffalo Bills just because I'm so biased, and I will always find a path for them to win. They definitely have a path to win this game, and it's not just me saying it. Obviously, Vegas has it less than a field goal game. So it is a pretty close game in everyone's eyes. But at the end of the day, you can't let your bias get ahead of where you actually are itself. So the Chiefs definitely have a chance to win. They probably cover. I mean, I know the Chiefs haven't covered a spread in quite some time, but it's less than a field goal cover. So it's basically, are they going to win or are they going to lose? The Bills defense has been looking great. The Chiefs defense has not been, but that offense, we do struggle against tight ends for quite some time, and we still do. And Travis Kelce is probably going to eat the Bills alive. So in regards to the pick, it's actually going to be Kansas City, unfortunately. In regard to the bet, I'd probably just take Kansas City straight up as well. But again, sometimes I do a reverse psychology with myself and the Bills. So I'm the last person you want to trust in regards to the Bill. I'll tell you straight up. So in regards to the fantasy, though, like I said, the Chiefs D has been struggling. So you can start Sanders. He's been very, very consistent. So start Emmanuel Sanders. Definitely start Stephon Diggs. He is their number one. Definitely start Josh Allen at all times. The run game, I'd probably stay away from, in all honesty. And Dawson Knox, you can do a start spot, but he's touchdown or bust here. When it comes to the Chiefs, you're going to start Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce's going to explode. You can start Patrick Mahomes. In regards to their one run game, I know that's how they crushed us last year with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They're probably going to try to do the same thing again. I don't think they're going to be as successful here. In regards to a betting standpoint, honestly, I'll probably take the under. I think 56 is kind of high, and it's not as crazy as people think. So I'll probably take the under on a betting perspective. But otherwise, when it comes to fantasy startup, everyone we had mentioned. Next game, we have the Falcons going up against the Jets. It's the London game. It's early. Don't forget, it's at 9:30. So make sure you check your rosters early when it comes to fantasy. On the betting side, we have Atlanta as a -2.5 point favorite. Over under set at 45. And that sounds about right. These are some pretty high octane offenses, but they don't score often. And when it comes to Falcons themselves, they are missing Calvin Ridley, so they don't have their wide receiver one. The Jets, man. The Jets coming riding high off of that Titans win. This is a tricky game. Not really one I want to bet. And the over-under is pretty low. Betting perspective, I will probably have to take the Jets. That's so sad to say. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to take the Falcons here. Matt Ryan's not the greatest quarterback, but it's enough against the Jets. That Jets D is so bad. I have to go ahead and I have to take the Falcons here. I do recant what I just said. Give me the Falcons. On a fantasy perspective, when it comes to the Jets, I don't want to start any of them, in all honesty. Don't start a Jet. I know Zach Wilson did okay last week. The Falcons D isn't the greatest, but it's a rookie. It's his fourth game. I'm not trusting it yet. So I'm not starting any Jets whatsoever. They have no run game at all either. When it comes to the Falcons, Cordell Patterson, what the hell do you do at Cordell Patterson? He's been crushing it, but he shouldn't be. Mike Davis has been doing okay. I would still start Mike Davis here. Cordell Patterson, you have to ride the hot hand. You have no choice but to start him. But he only played like 26% of snaps last week. So, yeah, he scored 3 times, but that means he was scoring every time he was on the field. And that's not going to happen every week. But for now, you can ride the hot hand. You can play Kyle Pitts with Calvin Ridley out. I feel like he's going to see a lot of volume in the passing game. Otherwise, that's all you can really start on a fantasy perspective. Next game, we have the Packers up against the Bengals, and this is going to be a hot game, man. Over under set at 50. And the main reason, Jair Alexander, baby, he's out. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all for the Packers because their defense, he is the anchor of their defense. And the Bengals are a pass-heavy team. I see the Packers only at -3. You would think it'd be a lot more, but Bengals are the home team, and the Packers are the ones that are hurt right now. But that doesn't matter. I'm still going to take the Packers to cover here. The Bengals struggled against Jacksonville last week, and that's very concerning. I know they beat Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh's been struggling. The Vikings defense was god awful to start. They're getting a little better. Bengals have just been very opportunistic as of late. I like them. They're fun as a fantasy team, but in real life, give me the Packers -3 all day. I'm not trusting that over under. But again, as aforementioned, that fantasy perspective, give me T. Higgins to start Jamar Chase. I don't know what's going on with Joe Mixon. I don't think he's going to play. I think it is going to be Samaje Perine. In that instance, you can start him in a pinch, but let's not forget Samaji's not the greatest, and the Packers are struggling in the pasty right now when it comes to Jair being out. So you can start Samaje, but don't expect much. Expect 6 to 7 fantasy points, kind of like you got out of Alex Collins on Thursday night. But yeah, start all the wide receivers and start Burrow for sure. On the Packers side, it's the usual suspects. You're going to start Aaron Rodgers. You're going to start Devontae Adams. You're going to start Aaron Jones. And that's about it. You're going to call it a day. Don't get too cute starting Randall Cobb or starting the Robert Tonyan. I mean, if you have Tonyan, you probably draft him high enough to where you have to start him. But it's not something you particularly want to do if you don't have to. Then the next game, we do have the Lions going up against the Detroit Lions going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Shout out Lizzo. We have the Vikings as a -10 favorite. I think that line is too high. Over under set at 49.5. Dalvin Cook is still a little banged up, so that's a big part of the Vikings offense. Even though Madison looked fine filling in, Cook is definitely preferred. Lions side, they still don't have any wide receivers. They just have TJ Hawkinson in their run game. But they're playing for their coach, man. And a lot of these games are getting real greasy. They're getting real close. And 10 is a big number for the way the Lions have been playing as of late. So on a pick perspective, I'll pick the Vikings. But when it comes to betting, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bet the Lions in all honesty. They might win it outright. Like I might fuck around and take a Lions money line bet just because it's going to be some crazy number. On a fantasy perspective, again, you're going to start DeAndre Swift because he's crushing it. You're going to start TJ Hawkinson because he's crushing it. Stay away from Goff. Jamal Williams in an absolute pinch. You can like flex in if you have to. I know I have a league where I have to start him. Actually, I have 2 leagues where I have to start him. Otherwise, if you're not in some running back purgatory, I wouldn't start Jamal Williams unless you had to. When it comes to the Vikings, you're going to go ahead and start Adam Thielen. He can't stop scoring for whatever reason. You're going to start Justin Jefferson because he's a stud. Don't get too cute starting like Tyler Conklin or anything like that. The run game, you got to see what's going on. If Dalvin Cook's going to play, you start Cook. Honestly, anytime Cook is on the field, you play him. If he's not on the field, Alexander Madison's going to be a must start. He's going to crush the Lions. And at that point, that's about it on the fantasy perspective there. Next game, we have the Broncos going up against the Steelers, and this is a tricky game, man. I see this line flipping back and forth. Steelers are favorites one time, then the Denver Broncos are favorites, and it's back and forth. Right now, I have Denver as a -1 favorite. So just a pick 'em straight up. The game's in Pittsburgh. I know Big Ben is a little banged up. I know that Chase Claypool is a little banged up. Deontay's a little banged up. Everyone's hurt honestly, when it comes to Pittsburgh. However, I do think the Broncos are a little bit of a fraud. Yes, they started 3-0, but they played three of the worst teams in the NFL currently. So they're also banged up because Teddy, we don't know if he's playing or if Drew Lock is starting. There's too many factors going on here. I'll just take the home team at that juncture. Give me Pittsburgh -1, unfortunately. On a fantasy perspective, I'm going to pick them and I'm going to bet them. On a fantasy perspective, with the Steelers, you can start Deontay Johnson. You can start Najee Harris, and then I'm not starting anyone else. I don't trust any of the other receivers. I don't trust Big Ben, any of the tight ends. When it comes to the Broncos, the Steelers defense is still good. I don't trust either of the running backs with the committee. You can start Cortland Sutton, but know that it's a tough matchup. But where you got him and how he's been acting with it being either boom or bust games, you probably need to start him. So you can in a pinch. I know Tim Patrick also is someone that's been a savior for most, but as of right now, I probably would sit him just for this matchup. And then the next game, we have the Miami Dolphins going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dolphins -10 for the Bucs. God. I know the Dolphins have been struggling, but -10. They are at home. They did just come off a loss, or they just came off a win, but they didn't look the greatest in that win against the Patriots. God. I don't like the number at 10, but I think I have no choice but to take it. Over under at 48. You know what? Their pass defense is so badly. Their pass defense is so bad. Just give me the over. I think that's the safest bet. Over 40. 48 is not a crazy number. The Bucs defense is so bad when it comes to passing. The Dolphins can't run right now with Gaskin anyway. Give me the over. In regards to a fantasy perspective, I do have a good friend that's going to start Jacoby Brissett this week. I don't highly recommend. He looks bad. I know he's doing some Blake Bortles garbage time-esque activity currently, but that's not really something I want to bank on is garbage time. Their pass game, again, the way to beat the Bucs is through the air. I mean, even with Will Fuller out, they still have Jalen Waddle. They still have Devontae Parker. They have enough. They have Mike Gesicki. All three of them could go off. I'd probably start all three of them in all honesty, and that's it. Call it a day. Never start a running back against the Bucs. Don't even look at it. It's the Patriots had negative rushing yards last week. It was like -1 rushing yards. Stay away. On the Bucs side, it's the usual suspects. You're going to start Brady. You're going to start Mike Evans. You're going to start Chris Godwin. You're going to start Antonio Brown. And at this point, it is Leonard Fournette's backfield. You can start him if you want to as well. Then the next game, we have the Saints going up against Washington. It's a really interesting game. Let's see. We have Saints -2.5, over under set at 43.5. Both of those make sense in all honesty. But in regards to a pick, I'll probably take the Saints. But a bet, I might take the home dogs in all honesty. Taylor Heineke sucks, but he's playing for his job and he wants to stay in the NFL. And he's doing everything he can. And the defense has been struggling this year, but it's Jameis. I don't bet Jameis games. I'm not going to touch this game with a 10-foot pole. But if you have to bet, I'm just going to take the home dog because the Saints are the definition of inconsistent, smashing the Packers like that and then losing to the Panthers. Like they're all over the place. And that's all Jameis Winston play. You never know what you're going to get. So then you look at the over-under, but Washington has not been performing on the defensive end, but that's got to turn around. They have too much talent there. I don't want to run into it by accident. So just give me Washington to win at home. It's home dogs, or at least cover. And again, on a fantasy perspective, when it comes to the Saints, I would say to start your receivers, but they don't really have any. You're going to start Kamara no matter what, and I'd probably leave it at that. On Washington, Taylor Heineke has an infatuation with Terry McLaurin. Start Terry. I know Curtis Samuel may be there. Logan Thomas is on IR, so Curtis could have a decent game in all honesty. But I want to see it first. He's one of those players I just need to see it first. So I'm start Taylor Heineke and kind of call it a day. Sorry, Taylor Heineke. Start Terry McLaurin and call it a day. Don't start Taylor Heineke. All right. And then the next game, we have the Eagles going up against the Panthers. Eagles as a +3. Wow. Panthers -3 currently. We don't know if CMC is playing or not. And that is a big deal in regards to this game. God. Over under set at 46. I don't hate the over by any means. But that Panthers D has looked good. They're super young, a little inconsistent, but look pretty decent. I'll actually just take the Panthers straight up. It's just a field goal. In regards to fantasy, I don't hate the Panthers defense. I know I haven't mentioned any of these defenses. I wasn't even thinking about that. You can start the Panthers team. You can start Sam Darnold, the person that's leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns for whatever reason right now. You can start DJ Moore. He's absolutely crushing it. And if CMC's playing, start him. Chuba Hubbard's playing. I don't know. The Eagles' run defense isn't terrible, so I'd probably only start CMC if he's playing, as well as DJ Moore and Sam Darnold on their front. When it comes to the Eagles, you're going to start Jalen Hurts. He has that running upside. You're going to start Devontae Smith. He's a little hit or miss right now, but if he could hit, you're going to want those weeks. So he's definitely a decent flex option for you. And their run game's all over the place. I just stay away from it until they get that situated in Philadelphia. So I'd bet the Panthers and I'd start just Hurts. And you have the tight ends. You can start Goddard. You can start Ertz. You can start both, in all honesty. Both those tight ends are so good. I hate that they're on the same team, but you can start them if you need to. All right, next game we have the Titans going up against the Jaguars. We have Tennessee as a -4.5 favorite. Julio's already been ruled out. AJ Brown is probably going to play here. I don't know how he's going to perform coming off this injury, but you have to assume the Titans are pissed off that they lost to the Jets. It's only set at 4.5. Over under at 488. 48.5. I don't hate that either, in all honesty. I was looking at it pretty hard. But I'll probably just take the Titans to cover. They have Derrick Henry healthy. Give me Derrick Henry over the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have struggled, and he's been owning them for years. So give me the Jags in regards to a pick and the bet. When it comes to fantasy, you can start Derrick Henry, as aforementioned. He's going to explode. You can start AJ Brown. He's the only receiver there right now. Tannehill, you can in a pinch if you have to stream. And then in regards to Jacksonville, you can start Marvin Jones. You can start Laviska Shenault. And I think it might be James Robinson backfield right now. Go ahead and start James Robinson. He's proved it to me. And from that point, we'll kind of work from there. Next game, we have the Patriots coming off that devastating loss to the Bucs up against the Texans. Over under set at 39.5. Patriots -8 favorites on the road. I was all over the Patriots at first. 39. Texans are at home. Give me the over. I think they can hit the over here. Even if the Patriots do kill them, I think they can at least put up like 27. And then the Texans just really only have to score like once or so. So give me the over 39.5. In regards to the pick is the Patriots, the bet is the over. When it comes to fantasy, Damian Williams is going to fucking explode. Not Damian Williams. Damian Harris is going to explode this week. Get ready for it. He's going to go off. And that's all I would start on the Patriots side, in all honesty. When it comes to the Texans, you're going to start Brandon Cooks because he keeps producing no matter what. And then you're going to leave it alone. You're not going to play anyone else on the Texans ever. So next game, we have the Justin Fields-led Chicago Bears going up against the fraudulent Oakland Raiders. That's the Broncos were fraudulent. So are the Raiders. Over under set at -5.5 for the Raiders. They are at home. They have been playing well, and I do think they win this game. I'm definitely going to pick them to win. 5.5 is kind of large there. I was looking at the over, but the last time I chose an over with Justin Fields, it didn't work out. So then I'm hesitant. I was looking at the under, and I don't want him to explode and then me looking stupid. So then I was like, I just have to pick a team. Fool me once, shame on you, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and just take the Raiders. I think they're overrated, but I think they're good enough to beat the Bears. On a fantasy perspective, God, I miss Monty. You can start Damian Williams again, temper your expectations, but he'll do enough. He'll do better than Chuba, and he'll do better than some of these other backups. But again, you're expecting about 10 points from Damian Williams max. Then in regards to Allen Robinson, I'm not playing him until he has a good game. He refuses to have a good game, so I'm not playing him. Darnell Mooney, I'm going to play him. It seemed as if Justin Fields liked him. It's a new regime. He liked him, so I'm going to go ahead and play Darnell Mooney. In regards to the Raiders, you can't start Bryan Edwards. I love Bryan Edwards, one of my favorite receivers. Can't start him. Josh Jacobs, he's been banged up all season. I don't know what's going on there. I don't really want to trust it and start him. Especially against the Bears. It's a tough defense. Henry Ruggs, I think he's going to have a good game this week, in all honesty, but I can't fully sit here and tell you recommend to play him. That's just risky, but I think if one is going to go off, it's going to be him. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Not a lot of fantasy options you want on here. Derek Carr's okay. And you have Henry Ruggs as a gut feeling. And then Darren Waller. Sorry, you're going to start Darren Waller no matter what. He's going to finish as the tight end 1 or 2 or 3 this year. Probably the wide, the tight end 2 or so. So he's really good. He's going to continue to get targets. He's going to continue to be dominant. Then the next game, we have the Browns going up against the Chargers. The Chargers is a -2-point favorite, which is odd. Over and half set at 47. Give me the Chargers. In all honesty, I think the line's too low. I think the Browns are a little overrated this year as well. The best game they played all year was against. I'm sorry, it's week 5. I don't know why I said 4. The best game they played all year was against the Chiefs, and they lost. It wasn't a loss. The Chargers also played the Chiefs. They won. I know NFL math doesn't necessarily work, but just matchups are everything. And I think the Chargers are going to be just fine, especially with them at home. And 2 is a low enough number. And especially with Baker having some shoulder injuries right now, that's not going to help the Browns at all. So I'm not playing with the over-under. I've lost 2 over-unders with the Browns. I'm not doing it again. Just give me the Chargers straight up. On a fantasy perspective, you can start Odell, you can start Nick Chubb, and you can start Kareem Hunt. That's it on the Brown side. Don't touch anything else. When it comes to the Chargers, Herbert's on fire. You can start Herbert. You can start Keenan Allen. You can start Austin Eckler. Mike Williams simmered down for the first time all year, but I'd go back to the well if you have to. If you have to flex Mike Williams, it's not the worst thing in the world. So the Chargers, you can start most of their players. They have fantasy relevance. Then the next game, we have the Giants going up against the Cowboys. The Cowboys is a touchdown favorite at -7. Over under set at 52. I know these Cowboys overs keep hitting, but I don't know how much the Giants can keep up with all of their litany of injuries here. So I will probably, the Cowboys aren't exactly the beacon of health either. In the division, part of me really wants to go Giants to cover. I'm going to go Giants to cover. In division games always get tricky. A touchdown, I can't trust this Steelers defense right now, especially if Diggs is out. So I'm going to take the Giants to cover. I think the Cowboys win the game, but I don't think they win it by more than 7 points. When it comes to a fantasy perspective, Cowboys are going to start Zeke. You can start Pollard if you have to. You're going to start CeeDee Lamb. You're going to start Amari. You're going to start Dak. You're going to start them all. That offense is insane. When it comes to the Giants, God, if you absolutely have to, you can stream Danny Dimes, as scary as it is to say. You can stream Daniel Jones this week. You can play Saquon. He's starting to come around with his leg injury. And that's about it. I'm not really trusting Kenny Golladay here. I mean, you can if you have to. He could flex him if you absolutely have to, but I wouldn't be excited to do it. Otherwise, I just trust Saquon and Danny Dimes and call it a day. Next game, one of the more exciting ones here with the 49ers going up against the Cardinals, only 4-0 team remaining. And that's why the line is the way it is. It's -5. The Cardinals are the home team. It's in division, and I'm probably going to take the 49ers to cover. When it comes to winning, I think the 49ers are going to win, man. I think that styles make games, and I think that the 49ers in the division with the formula to win, I think they're going to win this game. I may bet that money line. In regards to fantasy, 49ers side, you know what? God, Jimmy Garoppolo's out. It's Trey Lance. Take it back. Take it back. In the NFL, I try to do everything just spur of the moment, looking at it, my actual thoughts without, doing a whole bunch of research. I do most of my research in regards to the UFC, but NFL, pretty straightforward. Give me the Cardinals just because it's Trey Lance's first game. I think Trey Lance is going to be fine, but it's going to take a while. He's going to have some growing pains. So I think the Cardinals aren't the better team. I think if they see each other in the playoffs, the 49ers win. But for the very, very first game of Trey Lance's career being a starter, give me the Cardinals, even with the money, the -5, give me the points. It doesn't matter. In regards to the 49ers, you can start Debo. And that's about all I'm starting, in all honesty. I need to see how everyone else acts. I need to see Trey Lance. I need to see what Brandon Ayuk and what you can start George Kittle. I'm sorry, George Kittle and Debo. And outside of that, leave the running back committee alone. Leave all that alone. I need to see how it runs with Trey Lance. On the Cardinals side, you're going to start Nuke. You're going to start Kyler, who could be a QB1 this year. Christian Kirk, AJ Green, you never know which one's going to go off. I'll probably leave them alone. I'd probably just stick with and Chase Edmonds. I know he was a little banged up right now. So if he's out, you can start James Conner. But James Conner has his backfield to himself. He's going to explode. Even though the 49ers aren't the best matchup, he'll do enough. He's capable. So if Chase is out, you can start James. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't. I'd only start Debo and Kittle. And then the last game, because we already went over the Bills game on Monday, we had the Colts going up against the Ravens. We have the line set at -7 for the Ravens, and I think that is a mistake. I think the Colts cover, especially with all the defensive line issues the Ravens are having currently. So at that juncture, the pick is going to be the Colts. The bet's going to be the Colts. This line is off. When it comes to fantasy, you can start Jonathan Taylor. You can start Michael Pittman, and I'd probably leave it alone at that. On the Ravens side, Marquise Goodwin seems to be their one right now. So you can start Marquise Brown. You can start Hollywood Brown. You can start Lamar Jackson clearly. And I'd leave that running back by committee. That's over the age of 80 alone. Don't touch it. I'd probably just go Marquise Brown and Lamar and call it a day. Otherwise, that's NFL Week 5. I don't know why I said 4 earlier. You can check all of the official picks over at Stats and Stacks over on Twitter, over on Instagram. I won't be sure to get those out and to help you guys win money this week. Otherwise, let's stay hot. Let's get money.